There he is. What's
Hey!
up, man? How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Chris Jericho is here on Talking Shop with Comicbook.com. First of all, thanks for joining us, Chris. Big fan. I am, and the whole site is a big fan of you. So thank you.
Right on, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Of course. Well, usually when we do these interviews, one of the first things I ask everybody is kind of how have you been passing the time at home? What have you been watching? But you've been keeping busy. You're one of the few people out there who's been able to keep busy and keep entertaining.
Well, you just asked the question, what are people watching? I'm giving people something to watch. And that's kind of my responsibility. I feel as an entertainer, I can't fix your cabinet. If your car is out of oil, can't help you on that one. But if you want someone to, entertain you on a Wednesday night or on a Saturday night or on an Instagram Live, this is what I've been doing. So I have a schedule every week of different press that I'm doing, and now we've started back every Wednesday with AEW. I got the Saturday special on Saturday nights on Facebook and YouTube. So I'm trying to do the most that I can to give people shit to do.
I love it, dude. Well, hey, man, we appreciate that because we're losing our minds just sitting here and running out of stuff to watch. So you're keeping us entertained. So
Where are you right now?
Well, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
Gotcha.
Comicbook.com is here in Nashville.
Gotcha.
But usually there's a lot more traveling involved because, as you can imagine, not a lot of this stuff happens in Nashville.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's hard, too. Like, I was trying to find a flight to go. We've been basing our shows out of Jacksonville for now, and I live in Tampa. But even going from Tampa to Jacksonville, like, there's no flights, like zero. So,
yeah.
It's hard to travel right now, even if you want to, even if there was stuff to do. So, but the good news is I think we've gone through the worst of it. We did a great job of staying entertained and staying as sane as we can. So hopefully, like you said, as things start to open up, and I know some of my friends are stand-up comics. They're starting to do shows in Arizona and Utah and Oklahoma and all that sort of thing. So, like I said, living in Florida, hopefully the next step is letting fans back into our arenas at whatever, capacity we can.
Yeah.
And we can continue to move forward.
I mean, you mentioned that. I mean, it's been nice to see the news kind of swing back towards we're getting back. We're kind of might be past this stuff. Have you guys started those conversations about how to get people back in? You guys have it seems unpredictable.
It is unpredictable. And like I said, we've been doing our shows out of our company is owned by the Khan family, who own the Jacksonville Jaguars. So right beside the stadium, there's an amphitheater called Daly's Place. And we've been running out of there, and it's 6,000 seats. It's an amphitheater. So you tell me you couldn't get, let's go super low. 1/6 of 6,000 is, or 1,000 people, and stagger them get 500 people in there. Get 150 people. That's just the first start. I guarantee, fans will go nuts just to have somewhere to go and be involved. So I think that's all based on the different governors, and ours has been pretty proactive. So I think that'll hopefully be the next step over the next month or so.
And I can imagine for you guys as performers, when you're in there wrestling, that's going to give you guys another shot of energy back into it.
Yeah, it is. And listen, we've had crowd noise. We put, our crew and other wrestlers in the crowd, and that's always provided a good, a good sound. It gives you a little bit of vibe, a little bit of atmosphere. It comes across great on TV. So, like I said, man, we're just doing the best we can to keep the ball rolling and keep the show as good as we can under all of these circumstances.
Dude, you're being humble about it. You say you're doing the best you can. The best you can resulted in one of the best things I've ever seen in this Stadium Stampede. This thing was wild, man. Everybody's talking about it, and congratulations on that. But, how's everybody feeling after that? Because that was like backyard wrestling come to life.
Well, it wasn't, though. I would not say it was that. I'd say it was more of a movie. We filmed a movie over the course of 12 hours because, there's no backyard wrestling I ever seen where you're, in a football stadium with a swimming pool and a bar and you got mascots. And, to us, it was just being creative. And we came up with the concept of that match because of the pandemic, not in spite of it. We're working with what we have. Let's try and get out of this same arena with no people, like you said, or minimal, and let's go into this giant football stadium that we have access to and see what we can create. And, we filmed it overnight, took about 12 hours to film, and spent the next morning basically editing it all together. But when it was done, it was one of the best things I've ever been involved with in 30 years. It was a combination of everything that I love about wrestling. And I think it'll far and beyond be remembered as the highlight of the COVID era of wrestling, and a highlight of anything in wrestling. One of the greatest spectacles in wrestling history, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you guys killed it. It was so entertaining. I mean, it looked like you really put yourselves through it too, for the sake of for us to watch, and it was awesome. So we appreciate it. How much of that did you come up? I loved the bit with the challenge flag and stuff like that. Like, it was clever. Like the moves themselves. I mean, but you're also doing some really entertaining stuff outside of the athletic stuff you're doing. How much of that did you come up with?
Well, I think everybody was kind of the challenge flag was Tony Khan's idea. And I don't know a lot about football, so I had to actually Google. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. But everyone put in their ideas. That was the real brilliance of it. You had this magical night with 10 very creative people with the same mindset of what wrestling in 2020 is, which is a combination of all styles of wrestling. And everyone was coming up with ideas for themselves and coming up for ideas for each other. And that's the true magic of wrestling, being as creative as you can with thinking of the other guy in mind. Like the spraying the line paint on me, that was my idea for Hangman. You got to walk down with this, this lawnmower thing, and it sprays the line, the lines on the field, and but I was the field. So, I mean, stuff like that. I mean, do you think I wanted having, spray paint, sprayed on my face? But the best part was I came back to the hotel at 6 a.m. I got a football uniform with a big white line down my face and down all the way to my crotch. I got a dented up baseball bat. My hair's crazy. My eyes are red. And I walk right into a gaggle of pilots and stewardesses getting ready to go to the airport. And I just walked by and I was like, it's been a rough night, guys. It's been a rough night.
Hey, man, this is why you are a future Hall of Famer, my friend. Stuff like this, you're a legend, dude. So I pulled a question from Twitter at Mr. Video Guy. He said he wants to know, which AEW wrestler do you think we haven't seen the best of yet?
Well, there's so many. I mean, that's the best part about our company is we have guys that have huge name value, like myself and John Moxley and Cody. But we have guys that we're still learning about, like Kenny and the Young Bucks. But we're seeing the brilliance of them as they start to get more confident in this system. Hangman Page is another one who got super popular for us before the COVID, with his character. But there's so many. I mean, Matt Hardy, Brody Lee, and Lance Archer haven't even been in front of a crowd yet. I think Darby Allin is going to be a huge star for us. MJF, Sammy Guevara, man, that guy, the limit to what, the heights he can get to is limitless. So we've got a great crew of guys, and all those guys I mentioned are in their early 20s. Combine that, we have a great sports team. You got the blue chip rookies that are going to be huge stars, the first-round draft picks. You got the guys kind of in their 30s that are the top stars, and then you got the great vets, Hall of Famers, and that's what makes a great team, which is the chemistry and the camaraderie, and everybody's working for each other with no real inhibitions. We can do anything we want. Someone just mentioned Ray Phoenix. That's another one. Ray Phoenix is another guy that's going to be huge for us as he gets more comfortable with our styles. So we really appreciate the youth factor and the demographic of our fans that want to see a lot of younger performers on the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fun following you guys for the past year. And, I got to see you guys here in Nashville. You guys came to the Municipal Auditorium here. And it's a hell of a show you guys are doing. I can't wait to see how it grows. I don't know if you've watched Netflix's The Circle show, but the winner of that show is in the comment section at Joey Sasso, and he wants to shout you out. He said, we want more 80s Kiss covers because you guys are killing. That was fun, man. That was cool. So I wanted to
once again, we put together Quarantine with a K. 4 of my friends that are all have various bands that they're in, that we all love 80s Kiss. And we said, well, let's do this song. Never even met the guitar player. We recorded it basically on our own. We filmed a video on our phones this way and got it edited to where it looks like it cost $100,000. It cost us $100,000. And now we're getting big airplay with it too because there's nothing really going on right now. So we could do plenty more. Actually, we have another one that's coming out June 12th, I believe. And there's a whole kind of treasure trove of great songs from that era. And so once again, only in the pandemic can you start an 80s Kiss cover band with the ex-guitar player of Kiss and get a lot of steam and buzz about it. So, hey, let's do it. We'll continue.
Hey, man. There you go. You're making the most of it, dude. Fozzy, you guys have 2020 coming still, right?
We do, but we're going to change the name of it because we realize now that there's COVID, and the pandemic kind of slowed everything down. By the time this comes out, it probably won't be till October, November. So we don't want to call it 2020 when there's only a month left in the year. But yeah, we got a lot of ideas, and more importantly, the fact that we couldn't continue to record all these songs that we had gave us time to hone them and write new ones. So I really think, and you're probably going to find this with a lot of bands, there's going to be some great material and some great music coming out as a result of all this.
Yeah, it's a great time to sit back and be creative. On all the things you're working on. You know?
And don't have to rush anything because it's really, there's no reason. If I wrote the greatest song in the world, I probably wouldn't release it right now because that's the last thing on people's mind. And I think you have to kind of wait until the timing is right. Also, because you want to go out and tour it as well, and you can't do that right now. So there's a lot of things that change because of the COVID. But I think as we start to adapt, it'll end up being some of these changes will end up being for the better. And I think you're going to see a lot of things that started during the quarantine that will continue when everything is back to whatever the new normal is.
Yeah. Okay. And so I want to talk about your podcast as well. Talk Is Jericho. Anybody who's watching, if you guys aren't listening or you don't know about it for some reason, Talk Is Jericho. First of all, it's an awesome show. You have guests that range from Kevin Smith to Matt Hardy. You recently had Martha Hart on there, and that was a really, emotional stuff you guys are talking about. So a lot of these guests, I think a lot of them are your friends before they come on the show. I'm guessing, and I feel like despite that, you're getting to know these people more. Like, would you come out of these shows feeling really connected to these guests that you have because you're telling stories that aren't just out there and easy to talk about all the time?
Well, that's the reason why I started it, because the one thing is I'm not one of the pioneers. You mentioned Kevin Smith. That's a true pioneer of podcasting who started in 2007 or whatever. But for me to start in 2013, it was before the podcast boom, shall we say. And I started it, because I like to talk. I'm curious. I like learning about people. It's a great way to reconnect with old friends. It's a great way to talk to friends. Like if you're backstage at a festival and you see guys for 5 minutes, hey man, what's up? Everyone's got their own shit to do. But if there's a podcast where you have to sit down for an hour and talk, that makes you better friends. And also you make new friends. Paul Stanley and I became friends through the podcast. Kevin Smith and I became friends through the podcast. To now we're thinking about branching off into our own podcast. So that's, it's William Shatner, like to get a chance to sit down with William Shatner, not just once, but twice. And he says, if you follow him on Twitter, I do not do podcasts, except for I did my buddy Chris Jericho's a couple times. I don't know why he decided to do mine. I don't know, but I'll never forget that, or I'm not political, but I had an opportunity to go to Trump Tower and interview Donald Trump Jr. While his father is the president. Like it or not, that's a pretty big deal as a journalist, which is what I consider myself to be. So, rock and roll Hall of Famers, wrestling Hall of Famers, guys that have their hands printed at the Grounds Chinese Theater and have stars on the Hollywood Boulevard Walk of Fame, all in between, porn stars, comedians, athletes, magicians, paranormal people. So that's exciting to me because I never know who I'm going to have on the show, and neither do my listeners, which is why I think the show is so popular. People don't know what you're going to get from Talk Is Jericho.
And I think that just goes to show the how broad your work reaches. Like in WWE, you really made a name for yourself. It's like a cross-generational thing you did, and it reaches so many people.
And my goal is always to be like a Joe Rogan and a Chris Hardwick, to where if someone's doing a press junket, they're going to want to do Talk Is Jericho because it does good numbers and you're going to have fun with it. And I'm wide open. As long as I find the guest to be interesting, I'm all for it. It's very rare that I have a guest on just because someone wants me to. Actually, it's never happened. And there's been plenty of times when I've had somebody on because I had the amazing Kreskin on a couple months ago because I happened to be at a comic convention that he was at. I'm not sure if anybody from this generation knows who it is, but he's the guy that was on Johnny Carson more than anybody else. He's a mind reader. And you don't think he didn't have 60 years of great fucking stories? Bob Barker, like all these type of guys as well. So it's a lot of fun for me. And once again, I have to stay creative because who am I going to have on this week? Because there's only a certain amount of guests that you can have. So you got to be really creative and have the right people working with you to find these guests.
Yeah, you got to be strategic in that selection. I was listening to the Lance Archer episode, and one of the interesting things, and you guys broke this out, was how right before he went out and made his debut, they made him make all these changes, and that got me thinking about. I remember watching your debut. I was a kid. What's that?
In WWE?
Yeah, they made him cut his hair off and like change everything he knew about himself. That's crazy, man. So, but I remember watching your debut, and I was a kid. I was really young when you came back. I was like in elementary school, and I think I had to watch it on VHS the next day because my mom made me go to bed. But and you come out, dude, and like you literally like you're on the biggest stage, Monday Night Raw. You're opposite The Rock. You come in, you're established, and you kill it. So before you come out there in '99. Did they say, like, what kind of direction do they give you? How much of that is just you? Like, how does that come about?
It was different back then because that was kind of the last year before they really started getting involved creatively, before you had writers giving you your promo and rehearsing and approving this. And I wrote that whole promo on my apartment floor. And the only people that knew what it was going to be was the Vince Russo, kind of the booker, and The Rock. I never had to read it in front of Vince, and I never had to rehearse it because it was a surprise. So that's kind of changed. So now that is different. But for me, I was actually pretty lucky. I mean, I would have, a few things suggested here and there, but mostly I kind of just knew what I wanted to do, or at least was fearless enough to just try things. But I'm the last of that generation. I don't think it's going to be that way anymore. And you can see that. You can see how things are now in comparison to the way that things are then. I think personalities were much more boisterous and much more defined. And that's why I think people enjoy AEW, because we have that. No one's we don't have any writers. We don't have anybody influencing us or telling us what to do. There might be ideas thrown about. I'm all about collaborating. But I think when I'm kind of I'm 80% kind of in charge, 90% in charge of what I'm doing every week, it's so much more fun. It's a lot less pressure as well.
I mean, I think it shows. It definitely, like, we can tell you guys are really enjoying it. Okay, so I have to ask. I'm a fan of you and DJ. When he says when he says the whole "you didn't even introduce yourself" thing, and you say, "I told you I'm Chris Jericho," and he hits you with the "it doesn't matter what your name." Do you know that's come? Like, or are you genuinely caught off guard?
No, we talked about it. Yeah, like I said, Rock and I and Vince Russo kind of went over a few things, and that was basically it. And he was super agreeable to everything, because I came up with the Y2J countdown, and Vince's idea was to have it stop right in the middle of The Rock's promo. So if you go back to '99, that's the top guy in the business, and getting interrupted by Chris Jericho was a huge way to come into the WWE for sure.
Oh, man, you made your mark. It was awesome. Okay, before I let you go, I know I'm pretty sure you're a really big Star Wars guy. I'm curious. I want your take on how it ended. What do you think of the new trilogy and that finale?
Here's my thing I love the fact that there's new Star Wars every year. I mean, it's the way it should be. But the ones I liked were the ones that were kind of outside of the original trilogy. I loved Force One. It was not Force One. Was it called? Was it Force One?
The Force Awakens?
No. What was the?
Rogue One. Rogue One. Yeah.
I love it so much I don't even know what it's fucking called. No, that was my favorite. That one and the first one where they returned was cool, but I think they got a little bit carried away, and things happened in the one before that that drove me nuts. With Luke Skywalker dying, and now Princess Leia can fly through space. That's never been ever mentioned once ever. So that kind of just turned me off of everything. But I liked the way they ended it. I thought it was cool. I love that Chewie finally got his medal. Like they threw enough little things in there. I think the set piece on the water planet was brilliant. So I think the problem with Star Wars is all of us, you didn't because you're younger, but all of us that grew up with those movies. Like I saw the first Star Wars when I was 6, and then the second one when I was 9, and the third one when I was 12. So this is forming my whole childhood, and things that you experienced during your childhood are always the best thing ever in your head forever. So I think because those 3 movies were so critical to my generation's development and fantasy and creativity. It's hard to match up with that. So you're always going to be comparing it to that and the characters. I mean, you can't put Poe and Finn and Rey up against Han, Leia, and Luke. You just can't. You can't put a Porg up against a Wookiee. You just can't. So they're always going to be compared. So I just try and enjoy the movies for what they are. And most of the time, I loved all of them, but I just hated, why would Luke die when in my mind, I could think of it so much better. But hey, it's like Game of Thrones. If you didn't like the ending, you go create your own, iconic franchise, and you do a better ending. So,
or start a hashtag and tweet it at the studio all day long.
So I like the last one. So the last, what was it, The Last Skywalker?
There was The Last Jedi, and then there was Rise of Skywalker.
Right. So I like Rise of Skywalker better than The Last Jedi. And now I'm excited to see where they're going to go, because now they have to create a whole new character base and a whole new universe. And I'll be there. I'll be watching.
Yeah, I mean, they did a good job with Mandalorian. I liked Mandalorian a lot.
That was awesome. That was fucking awesome. And that's the best Star Wars product I've seen, since Jedi, I'd say. Although Rogue One was great too. I loved Rogue One. That was an awesome movie as well. But yeah, Mandalorian's where it's at if you like Star Wars, for sure.
Are you into the Marvel DC stuff at all?
No, I was never a huge comic book guy in this era. When I was a kid, I was a huge comic book guy. Loved the Teen Titans. I was huge into Batman. There was a comic called Vigilante. I was really into G.I. Joe. Those are the ones I would collect every month, board them and bag them and that sort of thing. But then I just kind of grew out of comic books. The same thing with video games. I just don't have time in my brain to be as focused on those things nowadays. I'm just starting to get back into reading. Thank goodness. I'm reading The Stand right now. I actually just got this in the mail, the new Stephen King, If It Bleeds, in the mail. So I'm going to start devoting my time to reading books again, because I got away with that. Because as you know, all anybody does anymore when you have free time is just fuck around on your phone. So I want to start fucking around in a book again.
I get that screen time notification, and it's like, you use your phone for 16 hours a day.
Like, no wonder my eyes are getting shitty. I went to the eye LASIK guy, because I had it done about 15 years ago. I was like, can I get an upgrade? He's like, no. I know what it is. He goes, you're on your phone too much. When you're on your phone too much, it messes up your eyes. So stay off your phone and save your eyesight.
Yeah, all right, man. All right, so to say goodby, look, I got a little bit of bubbly here.
Oh, nice.
There it goes. It's not the official.
Not official.
But I guess this is whatever Publix had today. So I thought I'd give you a little toast, man. And thanks. I'll have to drink both because I can't give you one through the phone. But a little bit of the bubbly with Mr. Jericho, man.
Clink.
And congratulations on all of it, man. It's been so much fun to follow your journey, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us.
My pleasure, man. Anytime. Cheers.